Here we go. Hey, Petey.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on?
What's going on, man? We're glad to have you call in today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
What's the weather like? What's the weather like today in L.A.? Where are you at now?
Shoot, man, I don't go to L.A. I go to L.A. in about 5-6 days. Right now, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, and it's good. It's nice here. It's in the 60s, so.
Right, right. Everybody got that nice, cool weather going on right now.
Right, beautiful day. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Can't complain.
Right, man. Well, first I want to say thank you for calling in, and I want to jump right in because we've got some great questions for you, and I definitely want to let you know I've done I'm a huge fan and respect your work and your art. You're doing big things, and I'm not blowing your head up. I'm telling you the truth. I like your style. I love what you're doing. So when did you get interested?
Absolutely.
When did you get interested in music? When did you first start doing music?
Shoot, man. I actually started doing music when I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was, I was raised in a very, very spiritual, household with my mom and my dad, and so I was kind of sheltered. And so, actually, I tell people this and they laugh, but I actually thought that I invented rapping. I never heard it from nobody else. Like, I didn't listen. I didn't get to grow up on, the Biggies and the Pops and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I actually just started, writing my own rhymes, and kind of started like that around 8, and then as I got older, of course, I actually became a fan of hip hop, and rap, and then I really got serious and, started probably recording, around the age of 15, 16, and so that's where I started at. I started, right in my uncle's basement, and I mean, from that first time I heard myself back on the track, as terrible as the quality was, I knew that I loved it. I knew this was, my calling.
Well, so, I'll tell you, I can identify with that because to me, you don't sound like anybody. You sound different.
That's true.
You have your own unique vocal and sound and the way you spit. So
appreciate that.
That explains
that. Yeah, man, it definitely took a while, like about a 2-year, where I just said, hey, I'm gonna develop my sound. As far as just being different. It's a lot of people, that's it's almost becoming a trend to sound like what's relevant.
Right,
and that's how these guys are really trying to come on, and it's actually working for some people, and it's scary, man. I mean, but I can't do that. It makes me sick to my stomach. You know what I mean? And a lot of the pioneers of hip hop, would say the same, but it's different. It's different now.
Well, you stay true to you, man, because you're doing big things. So I read your bio, and I must say that you really made something out of your life. Because you've had some obstacles, which to me inspired your record, Gravitation. Tell me about your hit song, Gravitation, and how important is that song to you?
Well, let's just be honest. A lot of songs which that I've written, I lived with BK, that's Future's manager in Atlanta, and basically he all you need is one. All you need is that one, and you out of here. All you need is that one. And so what it really started having me do was stop focusing on how I was feeling and start focusing on giving the people what they want to hear. Club records, strip club records, flossing, stunting, and I was around all these guys that could do that, but I wasn't working. You know what I mean? I was just kind of in the entourage, but I was broke. I mean, I still got the women and stuff just off of who I was with, but it was all a facade. So that's kind of like how some of my lyrics and my music was. And so, but when I sat down and wrote Gravitation, I was like, hey man, I'ma just spit. I don't have time for no hook. You know what I mean? I literally have to just say what's on my heart. And I just had got this beat from Joe Black, one of the dopest producers. He's doing my whole next EP, which that's why I'm flying out to LA to work with. But yeah, so he did, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Jill Scott's Fool's Gold. He's a monster. So
Yeah,
I knew
that
I
would
had
be.
to snap on it. I knew I had to snap on it. So, so really, man, just it was a time where I was out there, man, in Atlanta, and I was like, man, listen, I'm about to have a daughter. These guys see potential in me. They got me out here. They taking care of me. I'm living, well, but, I really am not where I want to be. I was almost on the outside looking in for a whole year, but if you look at a lot of people's stories, a lot of times, even with Kent Jones, DJ Khaled, new artist. I mean, he was around Cali 3-4 years. We still ain't nobody ever heard of him. Like, you just don't know people's story, but I feel like I didn't have that kind of time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it got to the point to where, I was contemplating on, working the streets, you know what I mean? Like, and I ain't, I did it a little bit when I was in school in Philly, but, I was really about to get money, and I was like, man, I was like, shoot, I'm about to do this, whatever. And at that point, I was talking to this stripper, and she was like, I got a plug, whatever. But she was like, you just too talented to go down that route. So
right.
She ended up giving me the contact, and I was supposed to meet with the guy the next day, and his door got kicked in.
Wow.
By the feds. I would have been there. You know what I mean? Like, everything would have been a wrap for me. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, I was like, listen, I got to get my life right. I'm out here living wild, reckless. You know what I'm saying? Like, so then that's when I had came back to Kansas City and really just refocused, had to try to get my money back right. You know what I'm saying? And not feeling as a failure, but feeling more so like, okay, let's refocus and let's, focus on your craft, get good or whatever. So a lot of the lyrics and gravitation is coming from the bottom, when you knowing you better than a lot of the local guys, and you knowing that you just right there, but you've not stepped quite fully into your where you know you belong, and you just risking everything on a dream,
right.
And you trying to get it from being a hobby to a career, and that's where all of the passion and that comes from. And it's just talking about, basically ignoring reality, basically fate, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen,
Yep.
and that's where the record Gravitation is, because, gravity is what pulls you down. So you have to defy it, in order to make it to that next level.
Right.
And that's where that record, stemmed from.
I felt every bit of that. So I want to go back to your bio. That was great, man. I want to go back to your bio. And it reads, you are the master of your fate, the very captain of your soul, and you control your own destiny. Where did you get the strength and wisdom as a young man to find that sort of strength to pull yourself up and get yourself together?
Yeah, man. If you knew me, man, I mean, from the time I've been engaged twice. From the time I was little, I always hung out with married men. I always hung out with older guys, more mature, wise guys. Like I said, I had two degrees. I've read a lot, of books and things like that.
Yeah, we're going to get to those degrees too. Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, but just studying like different religions, you know what I mean, in college and stuff like that, and just realizing, man, it's so much out there to know. And one thing that I don't like is people. I believe in absolute truth, but I just don't like when people say I'm right and you wrong. I don't like that. I like to have an open mind with everything, and so I just really believe our biggest opponent is ourselves. So it's any excuse that you think that you can make, you know what I mean, or that you can say okay, or become complacent, and then blame somebody else. I could have blamed people at Epic for like, man, they should have signed me, or they should have did this. I know, it's always gonna be you. You know what I mean? So I kind of live by that, and in the way I was raised. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
That is just, that's just how I, my worldview in a sense.
Gotcha. So tonight we're talking about the evolution of hip hop today. So today on the show, I want to ask you, what does that word mean to you? The word hip hop, what does it mean to you?
it's not like it encompasses a lot of different things. Hip hop is not rap. Like hip hop is a culture. I actually really love the story of how it began. I don't know if y'all already talked about it or not.
We have not. Matter of fact, go ahead and share your knowledge.
Oh, well, basically hip hop started like in the early 1970s. You know what I mean? It like really just was with disco. That's really where it kind of started from. Disco, good times.
Sugar Hill Gang. Yep.
Yeah, Chick and all them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But like in New York and like the Bronx and all of that, like they were poor and they were like not experiencing good times. Niggas was getting killed. It was not like gang violence, wasn't guns, but they had like bricks, planks, knives, sticks, and they would just brawl, and it wasn't really, it was poverty stricken. So they couldn't really relate to, if you will, the mainstream black music that was out, like disco type stuff. Like they was like, that's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
like around that time, you can look it up. It's a guy named DJ Kool Herc.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like he had the first sound system, and they lived all in the projects in the South Bronx. They had the projects or whatever, and he just would play music outside in his room with his window open. And if you ever been, I lived in Philly, for 6 years, and I stayed in Jersey a year. So I've been on the East Coast. They live on top of each other. In the South, like we kind of spread out, Midwest spread out. You got your own yard and shit. No, out there, like it's concrete jungle. It's a lot of people right on top of
Everybody's
each other.
on top of each other.
Right. So by him just playing that music or whatever, everybody's going to hear it. You know what I mean? So like over time, it's like, man, they started renting out a little room in a complex, and then what he would do, the reason why I blew up so fast, because he would study the crowd. He noticed that, you know what I mean, like they got the most hype after the singer started singing, and then it was just like the music would play by itself. You know what I mean? Like the music would just play. That's when they got the most hype or whatever. And so he was like, okay, so what if I spin this, and then, which he got this technique from Manhattan, downtown New York, and he was like, which you would need 2 turntables, get 2 different records. What if I take this breakdown part and this beat and play this for 4 bars, and then I switch to this record and play this for 4 bars, and it'd be somewhat of just an instrumental. And what he would do, he would use James Brown. So now you're talking from disco to funk. So he would do James Brown and all of that. Like people just start snapping, start dancing in these breaks and going down and whatever. And then that's where you got, your B-boys, your B-girls, your break dancers, and your, that's where that came from. That was like the first kind of, form when hip hop kind of started. You know what I mean? Like, so then they started breaking, and all of this and that. And so that was like the uprising of, how it started. And then DJs like African Bombada, he was second. Like he was like Kool Herc's, rival. This shit was like very serious between them. You know what I mean? Like they didn't share records. Like they didn't want to. If they had something secret, like a record, like that's what would make them stand out, because it wasn't like today, where anybody could stream anything. Like if you had something exclusive, you kept that under wraps. You know what I'm saying? So they would go like that. Then basically, make a long story short, like they started out, Herc said he would just, play over the beat and then get a mic and be like, announce the different groups or the B-boys that's about to go, and then, tell them when the next party is going to be, and then he would start echoing his words, over the beat, or while the beat is spinning or whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they had software to make their own beats, so they took breakdowns, and so they would do that, and that was kind of like where, MCing is what they called it. Rap wasn't a word.
A word, right?
Mean? Yeah, it wasn't even a word. You know what I mean? And so once they started doing that, these parties, you had these parties that they would throw and they would start recording them. They would record their sets on cassette tapes, and people back then, the dub tapes. Hey man, look, this the party you missed, this, and then that's how I kind of started circulating throughout New York, outside of the Bronx, and you start getting like to, around New York, and then eventually, the DJ's little phrases would turn into sentences that rhyme, then that would turn into verses, then eventually turned into full songs, and they, would call that MC. And that's kind of how a quick breakdown of like how, they started rapping, you know what I mean? Like, and then from there, man, it's a real big history. I don't know how in depth y'all want to get, but it's
well, I'm telling you right now, I know this story, and I'm just here like shaking my head because you're giving an in-depth, true step-by-step story of all the blood, sweat, and tears of really how this whole evolution started, man.
People don't even,
how it really started.
Even understand, people don't understand, like the first people that started hip hop, like they wasn't really even on no reckless type stuff, like how it got in the 80s. Yeah. Like they was like African Bombada. He was more gangster probably than Ice-T, NWA, all them. He was the most respected gang. He was the leader.
He was the leader.
The most reckless. Yeah, he was like that guy. And then he was like, too many people started getting killed. Yeah. Too many people started getting hurt. And then that's when he formed Zulu Nation, which that was a good thing because that was like they would throw parties that he would DJ at, and they would put that money back into the community to build the community up. Like people don't, if you really knew like the good things that rap could do, it's people that do it, but that's really how it started. Like it was on some positive vibe type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was, I mean, the history behind it is it's very crazy, man. Like,
and that's crazy because that was like in the 70s, East Bronx. And that was, you remember, what was it? You remember Savage 7?
Exactly.
Yeah. And they started a cultural event group for youth.
Yeah.
And it was a hip-hop awareness group, and they called that group Zulu Nation.
Zulu Nation.
Yeah. That's it's crazy. Yeah, man. So, in depth, keep going. Keep telling your story. That's great.
Oh, I mean, so basically, like, the way that basically hip-hop didn't, listen, let's just be honest. It's a white man's world. You know what I mean? Like, so hip-hop didn't even crack, and, like, people didn't even acquire it until white people start asking questions like, oh, what is that? Like, and then it's so crazy because rap wasn't considered, hip-hop wasn't considered, it wasn't considered, like, music. It was, like, considered, like, noise. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
They just was, like, it was, like, alien.
It was a nuisance.
It was just a new thing.
Yeah, it was a nuisance.
It was, like, a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, it was a group, like, this was, like, okay, it's a lot of rappers, like Casanova, Sly, like, it was some more rappers and stuff that was out there, but, like in the first song, like, was Rapper's Delight, that blew up, you know what I mean, by, that people probably know, but all the hip-hop heads, they heard it. That's by, Big Bang Hank, you know what I'm saying, like, but a lot of people, in the hip-hop community was like, that nigga's soft, he didn't even write his shit, like, they didn't respect that, you know what I mean, like, and it did good, you know what I mean, but it kind of was like, it was a flop, and, but in 81, that pop group, Blondie, with Fab Five Freddy, that's another part of hip hop that's graffiti, that's what he did, but,
people like to say that Blondie was the first rapper.
Right, Blondie, like the group, like it was a little white girl.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Like, and then that's basically she was telling you only reason why she even knew what rap was, and I know this because I be watching a lot of documentaries. But only reason why she knew what rap was because of Fab Five Freddy. They was friends, and he used to tag downtown Manhattan. He left and so that's how he met them. And then she was like, so tell me about this hip-hop, and he was like, you got your fly girls, you got your fly guys, and all that, you know what I mean? And then so she basically was just rapping what he told her, you know what I'm saying? And so that right there was just like made all these white people, it was kind of like the introduction of rap for the world, opposed to it was already building momentum in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? And kind of like suburban, like on the outskirts, like kind of spreading organically, you know what I mean? And then you had the shit that really hit the fan was Planet Rock, you know what I mean, by African Bambaataa. And then that was like the first hip-hop crossover record, period,
Right.
you know? And that's kind of what I like to do. You know, that's kind of like how I like. People like, oh man, you don't sound, you from anywhere, you real commercial and this and this. I mean, a lot of guys, even in the story of hip hop, is they look at that like they do Drake that way. You know, he's soft, he's too pop. You know, but like MC Hammer said, he was like, they tell me I'm too pop. That just means I'm popular. You know, they just hate. Nobody wants to say, oh, I want to have the biggest underground hit and only sell 10,000 records. That's something that MC Hammer was like, because he had so many freaking haters. But like, anyway, Planet Rock, that just took everybody by storm. It was like a new sound. It fucked up the black people and the white people. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know what to do. Like
they didn't know what to do with it.
Rockers.
Right.
Yeah, you had the punk rockers, and then you had the hip hop heads, and then now they both in the same club, like looking at each other, like this nigga got a purple mohawk.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that was more like, you know, still bringing, you know, attention. You know what I mean? And then in the 80s, like early 80s, what really put us on the map was like MTV. You know what I mean? Like the first few years, first like 2 or 3 years, they never played rap. It was a rock and roll station, but it was the first station to play music videos for 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? And then who killed that? Run DMC. You know, they killed that. And then once they did that, they was like rock and roll like rappers. You know, they said, you know, they only talked about rock and roll, but they did it through rapping. So they was like the first rock stars. You know what I mean? And they actually got on. They broke the ice to get on MTV, and then that's when like nobody could deny, you know, hip hop or rap. You know what I mean? Like everybody had to be like, oh, that's what this is. You know, and they took all of the white boys fans. All the white boys like loving rap. They still do today. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and hip hop like became the new rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Right.
So especially when they did that one with Aerosmith, you know what I mean? Walk This Way. Like when they did that, when they redid that one, it was just really a rap. You know, like it wasn't even, you know, it wasn't even like it wasn't fair for nobody. But they still iconic to this day, you know. And then shortly after you had Def Jam, that was the first rap label. I mean, hip hop full label. You know, that's what LL Cool J was on. That's my nigga. Like everybody like, you know, LL. You know, this is like all the hip hop. Yeah, this is like hip hop history right here. Like that was that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ladies love Cool J. You know what I mean? Like, but it was like more, you know, it was a different feel. Like that's how when you study hip hop, that's how you can people that don't know their history, like they don't have their own sound. Because if they did study history, they would have their own sound because they'll realize the only thing that was successful is something that was different. You know what I mean? Like that's how Fetty Wap is doing so well. You know what I mean? Because it's just nobody ever sung or had that kind of sound like that. It's not yet. You know what I mean? But yeah. So like shortly after that, you know, it was of course all around the world. It was all around the world, and then that's when, you know, the West Coast started getting cracked. You know, you had your Ice-T's, your NWA's. You know what I mean? Right. Ice-T, he first was safe with it. He first was safe. He was a street dude, but everybody be like, you know, you gotta respect Ice-T, but everybody like, man, that's a pretty ass. And that's like me trying to be like, yo, listen, I got all this fucking hair. I be like, yo, I just killed nigga. And they like, oh, you know, you
ain't done nothing.
So then, yeah, like he talked about if you do crime, you go to jail. The NW is like, nah, fuck the police, we going to jail. So that really made it, took the West Coast, it captured their sound. You know what I mean? Like, and everything, like that was just, that was a wrap. Like,
that's great.
I mean, that's when you see like hip hop really having a voice,
right?
You know, as far as just it's starting to scare the white people because the power behind it. You know what I mean? Like, and so it just, you know, I mean, it goes on and on. You know, from
well,
you know,
to kick off, man. I think that was a great way to help us kick off where we're going with the rest of the show. Because you just kind of gave us an in-depth flow and really painted a picture of how it started. And I know I got tons of books. I do a lot of research, and have been around and in the business for a while. So, you know, I know stories and have heard stories from some of the pioneers, and you know, have first seen a lot of stuff firsthand. And you just really gave an in-depth, you know, story, and it's a true story. Like you were really giving some facts. So, you know, definitely thank you for sharing that taking the time really to dig in and share that with us. And I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, what are you working on right now?
Well, I just finished my first mixtape. Period. You know, the Let Out. It's like 18 songs. I shoot my third video for it in LA.
No, I like the Let Out. The Let Out reflects a little bit of your life on the East Coast, right?
Well, it reflects my life on the West Coast. It got like the DJ Mustard type Cali sound,
okay.
You know, and got, you know, the old school cars, and it just has a real West Coast vibe.
Okay.
And if you know anything about the Midwest, they actually often flock to the West Coast sound.
Okay.
It's kind of like a smorgasbord out here, but they love the West Coast sound, so I figured it'd be a win-win to go with a single like that. And that's actually my biggest song to date, you know what I mean? Like, so, but that's...
Yep, we saw those YouTube numbers, man. You you up there. You way up there.
Almost 20.
Appreciate it. Man, I feel like it's just not, I'm never going to be comfortable. Like, oh man, it's, you know, I'm real hard on myself, but I'm glad that people are tuning in, man, and want to see things that I'm doing, man. It's a blessing.
Right.
But yeah, right now, I'm actually flying out to LA in a couple of days to record my first EP, and then it's going to be actually one thing that I'm going to change with this one is because, you know, music. You guys seen that Organized Noise documentary?
I have not, but looks like
oh man, you got to see it. But anyways, that's of course Big Boy, Andre 3000. That's their producers. That's who found them, you know. But them guys, man, it was three of them. They literally would just, you know, get in the studio and live there. You know, the best records are made in the studio, crockpot style. And what I mean by crockpot style is it's not a nigga that send the beat over from Atlanta.
You cook.
Then you get in the studio and you freestyle over the beat, and then you go like, all right, cool, that's microwave music.
Right.
So, you know, so
you get in there.
You like the slow stuff.
You get in there and you cook.
Yeah. You cook
all night.
Okay. You got your producers there while you writing. Then you got your live instrumentalists there. You have other writers there, which you like. That's how you make the best song. People can't even really afford that unsigned independent artists. They normally, if they're smart, they normally would go in with the lyrics already written. 9 times out of the 10, the producer is not there because he just emailed the beat or they downloaded it off YouTube or you know. But so I'm taking it to the next level, man, with this EP. So I'm just going down there, staying a week, and just going to work hand and foot with Joe Black, man. And,
well, that's great, man.
This EP. Yeah,
that's
and
great.
Then we're gonna shop it.
Good. What would you like people to know most about you as a person outside of your artistry?
Shoot, man, I'm a great father. You know, I have she's about to be 2 years old. I have a daughter.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, man, that I do it for. Like I said, took a big risk and I left Atlanta right when she was born to pursue my dreams. You know, and I came back. You know, whatever. But I got her. And then, you know, just really, you know, I only surround myself with real people. You know, I'm a genuine guy. I'm a good guy, like good vibes only. You know what I'm saying? You can tell from
that's great,
how
man.
I talk. All my niggas is the same way. It's only like 4 of us, but we all the same. You know what I mean? Like so, it's just, you know, it ain't no fraudulence. You know
That's
what I mean?
great.
Like, it's just, yeah.
Well, I got 2 more questions before we let you go.
Okay.
If you could change one thing today in the world, what would it be?
If I could change one thing today in the world, it would be that money didn't have so much power. And the reason why I say that is just because all the evil in the world,
It's the rule of it.
That's the root.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe if we could only barter or like trade for goods or something, like, maybe it would be different. I don't know. They'll still try to find. We just wicked, period. But maybe if it just didn't have so much power, man, it didn't mean so much.
Right.
You know, people would do anything for it. You know?
Right.
That would be one thing that I would change.
Right. That's great, man. And where can people find you on social media?
Oh, sure, man. Petey Pyramid. That's Petey Pyramid. At everything at Petey Pyramid, and then on Facebook and my website is PeteyPyramid.com. It's very easy.
Very easy
to find me.
Okay.
If you on iTunes or Amazon, just type in Petey Pyramid. You can see the mixtape, the singles, and everything. Man, support. I know people just stream these days, but if y'all listening, man, check it out. Support. We spend a lot of time and money and efforts in this music. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, you got a new house here in D.C., Radar Radio. We're supporting you. We're going to be playing a couple of your tracks tonight, but be listening in, man, because we'll be playing you quite a bit. We are now new friends of yours, man. I got a lot of respect for you. Keep grinding. You're educated. You got degrees, man. You're doing stuff. You're pulling yourself up. And as an older brother, I'm proud of you, man. Keep doing your thing.
Hey, I appreciate the love, man, and we're going to keep in touch. I'll make sure I give y'all all the newness before anybody else got it.
You got it. One more thing I want you to do. I got a brother here. His name is Blake Holmes. He's on my page at Blake Holmes. I want you and him to follow each other. Y'all got a lot of things in common.
Okay, yeah, man. I'm all about building, man. I'll go follow him as soon as we get off.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
And I'll keep in touch with you, man. It was good talking to you.
Please do. Good talking to you as well.
All right, man. You take care. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Yes, sir.